Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description, in every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic, one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. One mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 1, Episode 9 of Apple TV's Shrinking, entitled Moving Forward. We ain't talking about the episode titles no more, so let's just skip over that. I really enjoyed this episode, man. Like, this episode has some really high highs, both, I think, narratively and from a comedic perspective as well. And I want to start on the comedic piece because, normally I don't. Like, normally I kind of focus on, like, the meatier stuff in the episodes. But I want to start with the comedic stuff that I thought happened, that I thought worked really well here. Because the reason I'm going to start here is not going to come as a surprise to any of you who are accustomed to watching me here. I'm starting here because I'm going to pat myself on the back. Because very early on, I stated how much I liked the pairing of Liz and Gabby. And now, not only have they gotten better as a pairing, but I feel like the pairing of these two characters has elevated each of the characters individually as well. Sometimes when you're watching the first season of a show, you can almost watch the show in real time, kind of finding its footing. You won't even notice, like, at least most of the time, in real time, but watch a show and get like 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons into it, something like that. Then go back and watch season 1. I'm telling you, you'll notice that the original iterations of some characters are nothing like who they eventually become and who you come to know them as. A good example is Homer Simpson. He started off as like a more serious character on The Simpsons. Like Bart was the star. Bart was on all the t-shirts. Bart was the one with all the catchphrases. Homer just got angry and choked him. But then eventually Homer evolved into the character that I think we all know Homer as today, which is like that lovable idiot. And it's like once they found that version of Homer, that's the version that took off. And the same thing kind of happened with Moira on Schitt's Creek, if you guys watch that. She started off as more like you're just normal kind of like, here's the comedic version of a uppity, hoity-toity rich white lady. And it was like kind of like a very generic kind of character. But she quickly evolved into the like incredibly unique and quirky version of Moira that we came to know with like the wigs and the accent. And like that is the character we came to know, but that wasn't the Moira that we saw at first. And I think the same thing's happening here. Like if you remember, Liz started off this season as this like overly intrusive and nosy neighbor. Like it felt like she was constantly overstepping her boundaries and like giving off these big Karen kind of vibes. Like it was just like, oh, she's so off-putting. It's like, she means well, but it's like, go back in your house. Like, why are you always all up in other people's shit? And now you being too familiar with this man's child. Like, and it's like, you get it. Like, okay, yeah, Liz was there for her after the mom died. Like, we talked about that in the old videos. But my point is that ain't the Liz we got right now. Like, look at her now. And now she's got a comedic partner in Jessica Williams. I thought I saw something outside my window. It's just a fucking bush blowing. But, like, she's got this comedic partner now in Gabby's Jessica Williams. And now their scenes together are some of my favorite parts of the episodes. Liz is now this like sharp, witty, and sarcastic housewife who really kind of leans into being like the lame old white lady. Like, I'm not old, but I'm like older, like maybe my late 40s, but I still want to be kind of cool, and it comes off funny. It's like a really far cry from where she started, but it's working so well. Like the scene where Jimmy is practicing his wedding speech in front of Brian, and in front of Brian and Liz, is like, it's definitely my favorite Liz moment of the season, and probably one of my favorite moments overall. Like when she triggered Jimmy by saying marriage and then like corrected his grammar again while he was yelling. It was so good. And she did it with a completely straight face. It was so good. And that scene was great because it just had this kind of like steady buildup of humor toward that point. Like you had the fact that we know Brian was already hesitant to have Jimmy officiate his wedding for fear he's gonna, fuck it up like he did at the engagement party. Then Jimmy guilted him into changing his mind. And then he can't even get through the first word of the speech. So it's funny because it's like Brian gave him a chance, worried that this was going to happen. And not only is this happening, but it's 10 times worse than probably anything Brian would have imagined, that he wouldn't be able to get past one word. And that's funny in and of itself. And then you got Liz, then it keeps escalating. You got Liz corrected the grammar. Jimmy keeps fucking up. She's continuing to be difficult. Tensions are rising. And then she just goes, marriage. And it was so good. And it was perfectly timed. Like, it was such a great scene, man. And then, speaking of perfectly timed comedy, you know who else had a great funny scene this week? Gabby, who I just mentioned. The scene where she discovers that Paul is fucking the doctor. And I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty shocked by that scene. Like, when the doctor walked out, my jaw dropped. And side note, it was partially because of her legs. Like, she came out like, she came out like, he got a young one in there. And then I realized it was the doctor. I'm like, damn. And then like, with Gabby, like from the stuff she's saying to that great shot of like, of Paul and, what's her name, Julie, they're kissing. But then you see Gabby's face blurry in the background. And then she slowly comes into focus and the mouse drop. And it's like, you knew that was going to happen. But it was still funny because Jessica Williams is really owning this fucking character. And of course, if anybody would get like the hottest 70-year-old lady on the, on the planet, it would be Harrison fucking Ford. It would be goddamn Indiana Jones. No, it would be goddamn Han Solo who would find the fucking hottest 70-year-old woman on the planet. And then the serious stuff this week was good too, though. Like, actually, it's a great segue into Paul. Paul's getting this Lifetime Achievement Award, and he doesn't want to go to the ceremony because he looks at the award as kind of like a symbol of putting him out the pasture. He says like, they only give it to you at the last possible moment, right before they think you're going to be too old to, stumble up there and babble and shit on yourself. Like, right before you hit that point, that's when they give you the Lifetime Award. So he looks at it kind of like, it's like, to him, he probably looks at it as like, now I'm starting to put one foot in the grave. Like everyone else has already written me off. I already feel, he's talked about it already. He's not going to feel good about that. Having to embrace something that's going to make him, like as a byproduct, make him embrace something he doesn't want to embrace, which is getting old or dying. You couple that with the Parkinson's. It's a lot for somebody to come to grips with at his age. And then Jimmy tells him to invite Meg, which goes poorly because Meg, and unfairly this time, I think, she somehow makes this a work thing and gets mad at him about it. And I didn't like that because she's acting like as if he offered to come visit her, and then she finds out he's already coming to town anyway for a work thing. Then you can be like, okay, you're only offering to come see me because you're already going to be here anyway for a work thing. If that was what happened, then you can react the way Meg did. But he invited to fly her out, her and her family, to an award ceremony. That's like a gesture. That's an honor. That he's saying, like, I'm being recognized and I want my family to be there to share that moment with me. So I don't like the fact that Meg just heard the word career or some shit and it's just like, oh, of course that's a work thing. Like, that was a bit too much. But then, in the ultimate fucking 360 windmill slam dunk in overtime of Game 7 of the NBA Finals, Paul gets the ultimate lifetime achievement award in manliness, which Harrison Ford already has already won multiple times, by the way, by pulling off the ultimate win with both his girlfriend and his daughter at the same time by taking Julie to Mason's performance. Brilliance. And I didn't get it. It wasn't until we see Meg that I'm like, oh shit, he went to the ceremony ahead of time. Oh shit, I mean, not the ceremony. He went to the awards, the performance instead of the award ceremony. Oh shit. She's really gonna appreciate this. Oh shit, she's like, and you just come to realize, like, man, that was really like a master stroke, which I'm sure Julie's gonna get later. But like, yeah, I liked how, like, when they got there, his hand is shaking from the Parkinson's, and she holds his hand, and that was a nice moment because you get the one side of it, which is like, okay, they're dating, and she's holding his hand as a show of affection, but also as his doctor, she's intimately aware of the Parkinson's, and that make it so it's like it has kind of like it has like an extra meaning. It's not just like I'm holding the hand of someone I care about, on this date that's kind of a big deal, but I'm also steadying the hand of somebody who's dealing with a serious mental ailment too. Like it has that extra oomph to it. I thought that was a great scene. And then the other good moment I want to talk about, a serious moment, was how Jimmy was handling Tia's birthday in this episode. The scene where he's crying over the photo album, and then he's like, and that's all we get, but it was so much fun. Like, I thought that was such a good moment for Jason Segel, who, ironically, as much as I love Jason Segel, and as good as he is on this show, he's being outshined by almost everyone else on the cast. Like, the major characters. Like, and that, again, that's not to say that he's doing bad, but it's like, Jessica Williams as Gabby is really impressing me. I'm sorry, if the actress who plays Liz, I know you're not watching this, and I'm sorry I don't know your name offhand. I try to be better with this. She's, to me, is just a great aspect of this show. Harrison Ford is a great aspect of this show. So, like, Jason Segel's doing great, but, like, it really is wild that, like, at this point, Gabby and Liz are, like, my two favorite characters. And then I liked how he ended up with, he's taking off the wedding ring, which is, of course, symbolic of the idea that he's at least ready to try to move on. And then while he's sharing this moment with Alice, she comes to the realization she forgot the birthday. And I like that moment because it kind of showed how much Jimmy's grown as a dad during his time from, like, the beginning of the episode when he was, like, had hookers in the pool to right now where he's actually trying to get his shit together. Like, he didn't pressure her about coming to the cemetery. He didn't, like, lay a guilt trip on her for after she was beating herself up for getting the birthday. And of course, like, what dad's gonna lay a guilt trip on you? But I'm saying, like, it showed that he was a lot more, I think, in tune. Because he's like, he went up, he just like, hey, do you want to come to the cemetery with me? She says no. He just kept it moving. And he says in this scene, he's like, I thought maybe you couldn't handle it or whatever. It was like, to me, it felt like he was more in tune with her feelings. He was wrong. She forgot. But he was doing the right thing and thinking in the right direction, trying not to pressure her or anything like that. Because that would have ended up ugly. She said, oh, here you are. Now you want to think about mom? And now you want to try to make me feel bad? And something about, oh, did you forget something? Like, he could have done that in that scene where he asked her to come to the cemetery, but he didn't. He was like, all right. He assumed she couldn't handle it, so he pressed on. And then when she's freaking out, he's trying to talk her down. And I thought he did a good job of that. And it showed a growth in that character from the beginning to this moment. So I thought that was really good too. But yeah, all in all, man, really great episode. I thought that I really enjoyed this one. Looking forward to the finale next week. I think this has been a really fun show, a really fun season. I'll be covering season 2. I really enjoyed this one. Why would I not? And then I'm close with a couple of thoughts. I have a few thoughts, actually, just little things to talk about. I felt it when Gabby's patient says she drives 90 minutes to see a black therapist. I'm not going to harp on this for too long, but as a black man who has seen a therapist, I'm not going to say that other races don't have, like, a unique set of circumstances, but what I will say is that there are aspects of being black in America that only other black people can understand. And when you want to go to a therapist, you need to be able to open up freely. And there are aspects of the black experience that you just won't be able to share with a non-black therapist because they're just not gonna fucking get it. And If you could find a black therapist that you like, I'd drive 90 minutes to see a black therapist that I like too. It's that valuable. So I felt that when she said that. I loved when Paul said Mason couldn't come to Vegas because he wouldn't be able to keep up with all of Paul's gambling and whoring. And he's like, I go hard. I like that. I liked how Gabby dropped the greasing the peach line when she was with her ex. Remember, I wasn't a big fan of greasing the peach. I was a bigger fan of whatever the juicing. I thought I liked that a little bit more, but I like the callback. I like how she used it. Speaking of greasing the peach, kind of surprised Gabby and Jimmy decided they were gonna start fucking like routinely. Hey, safe dick is safe dick, you know. Hey, I mean I wouldn't know, but I bet the scene in the finale when Jimmy actually does read his speech at Brian's wedding probably gonna be really fucking good, man. I also like speaking of Gabby and Jimmy fucking, when she decides that when they decide that they don't want to call it safe dick anymore, and they arrive at working class dick, and then Jimmy goes, "I gotta consult with me union" in that Cockney accent. I thought that was really fucking funny. This made me think of like somebody in like a fucking like Peaky Blinders fucking person or some shit. And then lastly, Brian's dad's a real asshole, isn't he? You know, you could tell they want to show you that the character's trying, but you can also tell that the character's only trying because it's his son, and he's really just not with the gay shit. Like, he's like, I think Brian said that he said something like, he asked if they kiss or if they fist bump. Like, come on, man. And like, you know, Brian, like, your son asked you to stand in his wedding. Like, there could be no higher honor. And then he says no, but like, and they don't say it, but you know, he said no because he ain't gonna stand in no gay wedding. Like, it has something to do with some gay shit. Like, I ain't gonna stand in no gay wedding. Like, you know, it's some shit like that. And while I want to come down on the dad, I'm willing to bet he's gonna end up standing in the wedding anyway. Just putting that out there. So I will see you guys next week for the finale. Let me know what you thought about this really strong episode in the comments. I will see you guys next week, and until then, peace.